Your stories don't define you, but how you tell them will. Hi, I'm Sarah Elkins, your host and chief storymaker at Elkins Consulting. As I mentioned in last week's episode, I was recently inspired to change the format of this show. The new format for my show aligns with what I'm learning about narrative identity, which is how the stories we tell about ourselves internally and externally influence our identity, and what I'm learning about emotional intelligence through a course that I'm taking. My hope is that future episodes will offer more clarity about great storytelling and how to find and explore your own pivotal moments to demonstrate who you are. My future guests will be given a story prompt ahead of our call, and instead of a long, organic, multi-insight conversation, we'll dive more deeply into a single story, pulling threads and revealing primary insights about the experience, and hopefully leaving space for you, our listeners, to remember your own related experiences and pull a thread that has the potential to guide you toward deeper self-awareness. I'll be eager to hear your thoughts about this new format, so please don't hesitate to send me a message via social media or email. In today's episode, I'm sharing a story about a pivotal moment in my personal life, a long relationship that continues to influence my life and how I experience the world. Driving home from a volunteer shift at the Old Salt Festival near Helmville, Montana, I listened to the last hour of the book, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. As I listened to the characters reflect on their lives, to share with each other via handwritten letter and a few emails, I was reminded of a great conversation I shared on this podcast with Amy Daughters, author of Dear Dana. Over the course of a couple years, Amy wrote physical letters to 580 Facebook friends, a challenge she set for herself because she saw a real need for connection among people, and she knew that social media platforms had limited potential for the deeper connections people were craving. In our podcast episode, we discussed how meaningful it is to receive a handwritten note, regardless of how long it is, from a paragraph on a postcard to a multi-page letter filled with journal-like stories to catch up on a long absence from someone we love. I mentioned that my family has a tradition of leaving small Post-it notes for each other when we visit, hidden in suitcases, backpacks, and vehicles, or the living spaces of the person we're visiting, to find when we're apart again. As I listened to the wonderful narration of the book, I thought about letters that carried special meaning in my lifetime, and one particular letter I received in the summer of 1993 came to mind. I met Amarissa, or Amy for short, when we were in second grade. I changed schools halfway through the year, but we spent time together at each other's houses after school and on weekends until she moved away with her family a couple years later. We became pen pals, and I don't know whether it was with intentional support from our mothers or if we just did this because we loved each other. Years of letters and pictures crossed between Glendale, California and Colorado Springs, Colorado. And when we were 15, she came to Colorado to spend a couple of weeks of our summer break with me. The following year, I flew to LA to spend a few weeks with her and her family, and I spent part of that time planning a surprise birthday party for her sweet 16. We were so close. We shared everything with each other, things that we couldn't share with anyone else. But when we finished high school, we got busy and lost touch. The letter arrived in late July 1993. It had been forwarded twice. I still can't imagine how it found me, going first to our family home in Colorado Springs that my parents sold at least a year before, then arriving at a previous apartment in Fort Collins, Colorado, and finally arriving in my mailbox at a different address in Fort Collins. It just was so unlikely. I opened it as soon as I got into the apartment, thrilled to see Amy's return address on the envelope. It was a few pages long, catching me up on her big news. She was getting married. She reminded me that at some point early in our friendship, we had agreed that we would be bridesmaids in each other's weddings, which is ironic because I had decided a few years before this that I'd never get married or have kids. Amy's letter said, "Sarah, if there's any possibility that you could come to LA, I'd love for you to be a bridesmaid at our wedding." She included her phone number in the letter, and I called her immediately to tell her that money was tight, but I'd find a way to be there to celebrate with her. She offered to pay for my bridesmaid dress to reduce the burden on me. My mom was my next call. And because Amy used to call her her other mother, and because my mom felt so close to her as well, I told my mom in tears that the letter had come and I promised to be at that wedding, and my mom immediately offered to split the cost for my airfare. That letter changed the course of my life. And it's so unlikely, ridiculous even, that it even found me. Because of her letter, we're still in close contact 30-plus years later. Visits, calls, handwritten letters and cards throughout multiple career changes, raising our children, and the many joys and struggles of life. That letter found me, and it changed the course of our lives. Her love and unique perspectives continue to influence my life, and I can't imagine my life without her, even though we live so far apart and rarely see each other in person. All because of a single letter written and received in 1993. Listeners, now it's your turn. Did my story remind you of something that happened to you? What memory popped into your head when you heard it? What did you learn about me as a person, and what did you learn about Amy? Did my story inspire you to pick up a pen and leave a note for someone you care about? What is your related pivotal moment? As always, thank you for listening to Your Stories Don't Define You, How You Tell Them Will. If you're curious to learn about working with me, please visit my website, elkinsconsulting.com, and schedule time to chat. You can also sign up for periodic updates about my work, and feel free to connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You'll see a lot of content about StrengthsFinder, workplace communication, storytelling, and public speaking. I look forward to hearing from you.
You must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.